Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. I hope you had a great day. Let's take a look at some new r/IDontWorkHereLady stories. If you are new around here and enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe. And now, let's begin with the first story.
The first story is called, Karen Tries to Get Me in Trouble 2 Times. I work at a chain bakery that has a bright blue polo shirt and khaki-colored pants as the uniform, with the bakery's logo embroidered on one of the sleeves. Coming home from work on the bus, there's a small plaza at the stop before mine that has some pretty bomb pizza. Every once in a while, I'll stop by the plaza to grab some and walk the rest of the way home. The uniform there is a fire truck red shirt with the logo completely covering the back and black pants. If someone can tell me how Karen got this mixed up, I would love to know. On this great day, I was running on 4 hours of sleep, a cheese croissant, and coffee. I had just gotten off a morning shift and hadn't had time to grab lunch while on break, so suffice to say I was hungry. Hungry enough that I didn't even care that I was still in my work uniform, I just wanted some food fast. So, I stopped by the pizza parlor, grabbed a slice, some Mountain Dew, and a cookie for the road, and sat down as a happy customer. I had my headphones in and was scrolling through my phone while I ate when the staff disappeared behind the counter. About a minute later, Karen walks in. It was just me in the place at the time, and the staff was still in the kitchen. The most attention I gave her was a quick glance before looking back at my phone and taking another sip of my pop. I assumed she would just go up to the counter and order, like a normal person, but I assumed wrong. Before I knew it, she was standing right beside my table and giving me that good old disapproving stare only Karens are capable of. This interaction followed. I took my earbuds out and lowered my volume and asked her, "Can I help you?" She started to list her order. I was catching on pretty quickly. "Sorry, but I don't work here." She pauses as if this information was too large of a worldview shift for her to process. And in the end, her brain just could not compute. She said, "First, don't interrupt me, that's very rude. Second, that's a uniform. This is an establishment. I know you work here, so don't give me that attitude." The logic of this Karen made my own brain short-circuit, and I guess it showed on my face. The next thing I knew, her jaw dropped in shock and she was railing me on my horrendous work ethic and berating me over wearing headphones on the job and eating all the product that's meant for the customers. She even went as far as to say that I'd made a huge mistake as she was a regular and had more than enough leeway to get me fired. If she was a regular, she would have known what the uniform looked like. It was around this point that I remembered the logo on my sleeve and just wordlessly turned my arm and pointed at it. Karen stops yelling long enough to give it a proper look and I could see the color just drain from her face. I'm pretty petty though, so to rub salt into the wound, I tacked on a not so friendly, "See that company name? What was this place called again?" Then, not 2 seconds later, an actual staff member shows up behind Karen and asks if there's a problem. I thought that was the end of it. But Karen started to scream, "Yes, there is a problem. Your coworker was extremely rude to me." Yup, that's right, Karen was still insisting that I worked there. The pizza girl looked at me and recognizes me as the girl she'd just served. She said, "Ma'am, she doesn't work here." But Karen couldn't handle that. "Don't lie to me. I want to see a manager." So the pizza girl goes to get her manager and all the while, Karen is giving me the snobbiest glare I've ever gotten in my life. I just sighed and took another sip of my pop. Then, the pizza girl and her manager come back out. The manager asked, "Hi, what's the problem here?" And Karen said, "That girl refused to take my order and was extremely rude to me. You need to discipline her." The manager takes one look at me and knows that I don't work here. "She doesn't work here, ma'am, but I can take your order if you like." Finally, Karen leaves me alone and follows the manager to place her order. I could hear her complaining about me though, so I started packing up my things to eat my pizza at home and in peace. But the pizza girl stopped me though and handed me a takeout bag with another slice, garlic dip, and a cookie. She said it was both an apology for having to deal with Karen, and a thank you for being one of their nicer regulars. On my way out though, I heard Karen demanding a free pizza. I hope those guys turned out okay. A few days later, I had a shift with my manager and my buddy, let's call him James. I told them what happened that day. Partly because I wanted to give my side of the story in case Karen called, but mostly just because I needed to share. My manager laughed but told me not to worry about it, so I didn't. Fast forward to this day, my district manager paid us a visit, doing the standard checkups and whatnot. It was at the end of her visit, however, that things got interesting. She was asking for our opinions on a certain matter. What was that matter, you ask? Whether or not she should block a certain caller from being able to contact her at our head office. My manager asked, "Why, what's this caller doing?" And she said, she keeps calling to see if I've fired one of our girls. The manager asked, what do you mean, what happened? So the district manager started to explain. Initially, she called to complain that one of our girls was behaving indecently and was rude to her. Only thing is, she didn't have a name and the incident didn't happen at one of our stores. All she had was her description and that she was wearing our uniform. I told her there wasn't anything I could do for her, and she hung up on me. She's called a few times to see if I've taken action yet though, and it's getting annoying. James and First share a look, the "you don't think" kind of look. James asked, wait, her description? And the district manager scoffed, it wasn't even a good one. All she said was that the girl was short, had black hair, mid-tone skin, and brown eyes. That could be anyone. She gestures toward me. Look, it could be her. There was a small pause. And then, James starts laughing. And my manager started to clue in. Do you think it was? I said, no, no way. And the district manager asked, wait, what's going on? She looks at me, do you know something? Was it actually you? I couldn't help it, I just started laughing. James and my manager joined in, and my district manager just smiled. It was you, wasn't it? I nodded, and she started laughing too. After I explained what happened, my district manager let me know that she would go ahead and have the number blocked. The next story is called, How to Confuse Entitled People. It's been 10 years since I last did retail, though I spent a decent chunk of the prior 25 years in it. I'm used to being mistaken for an employee. My reactions generally reflect their actions. A polite request gets a polite response and a rude one gets rude. Hardly anyone I have ever encountered persisted to the reporting you to supervisor part. But on this day, I was at Target in the next town over. I hadn't tidied anything while shopping. I tend to fold unfolded shirts out of habit when I am browsing women's clothing. Understandably, people see this and think, employee, I cut 'em some slack. I was wearing business casual in burgundy slacks, a black top, and heels, looking absolutely nothing like a Target employee. I'm standing in the feminine hygiene aisle, marveling at all the ways pads and tampons have just exploded in variety over the past few decades and contemplating my various options in a humorous series of texts to my husband. I was oblivious to the world around me, as usual. Suddenly, my upper arm is grabbed hard and this lady, about my age, says, I've been trying to get your attention for a while now. Put down your phone and help me, I can't find the cat food. Grabbing me is not allowed, so my response begins with yanking my arm away and saying, touch me again and you will be on the ground, got it? I don't work here, go find someone else. She continues to demand my help and I insist I don't work here. She insists I do and finally, I just turn and walk away. And she shouts after me, I'd expect this from some kid, but you are old enough to know better. I'm going to find your manager. And then, something snaps my mind. I whirl around, stalk over to her, wag my finger in her face, and demand that she goes back in the back and get me something from there. What I am looking for is not out here and I need it now. She tells me not to play games with her, she knows I work here and she's going to get me fired. And I just grin and say something I've always wanted to, I know the owner, I'm going to get you and your manager fired if you don't find me what I am looking for. She shouts that she doesn't work here and I look her in the eye and state calmly, neither do I, and stare until she looks away and starts heading down the aisle. Not sure what the pharmacy techs thought about two middle-aged ladies, standing in the middle of an aisle, threatening to have one another fired from a place neither of them worked, but I hope they found it as entertaining as I did. The last story is called, How Thick Can a Person Be? I live in condo-style apartments where maintenance does salt and plow the parking lot, but they do not scoop or salt sidewalks. They leave buckets with salt all around the complex from fall to spring and it's up to the residents to manage the walkways. Two of my neighbors are older folks with mobility issues, so for the last several years, I've swept and salted their walkways while I'm doing mine. Most people see me doing it and get the hint that it's on them to clear their path. That is until this special lady saw me today. We don't know each other than the generic hello while passing by. She's lived here for about 2 years and should understand the way snow maintenance works here. She is one of those Starbucks and yoga ladies, she has no problems like my elderly neighbors, so her walkway is her problem in my mind. I had just finished scooping the walkways and was putting the lid back on the salt when I heard some behind me. I looked at her and said my usual friendly hello. She said, you missed a few apartments. I didn't know what she wanted from me. She continued, my sidewalk, you didn't clean it off. You can't just pick and choose which ones get cleared, I pay rent here. I said, I live there, and pointed to my door. I was just clearing mine and the older folks since they can't. She asked, so you're not doing mine then? And I said, it's up to the residents to clear their sidewalks, ma'am. And she began to get angry. Clear my sidewalk or I'll have your job. You also did an awful job in the parking lot. I almost slipped getting out of my car. Your boss wouldn't appreciate a lawsuit, would he? Me, cold and damp and not in the mood. Look lady, it's not my job to clear anything but my own sidewalk. If you slip, that's on you. Clear it yourself. She screamed, I'm calling maintenance and you're going to be out of a job. And that's where I turned and walked back into my home. Nothing happened for a few months, other than that our maintenance people have stepped up their game and now do shovel residents' walkways and not just the parking lot. But on this day, my nice neighbor and I were standing at her doorway chatting when the crazy neighbor walked past. She said, thank you so much for getting everyone's walkways scooped this winter. I said, I haven't had to do it, maintenance does it now. But she said, don't be shy, I know it was you. No, this company does. See that truck over there, they do it. But she wouldn't listen. Here, this is to say thanks and keep up the good work. She hands me a $5 bill. I said, I really haven't been doing it. But she still didn't listen and said, you're the best, we'll have to barbecue this summer. And then she goes inside. My nice neighbor and I just stand there with our jaws on the ground. How thick can a person be? Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Have a great day. Bye bye.